Identification of textile fibers. How to identify the textile fibers before start making into a yarn or any of the industry. Either it may be a spinning industry or weaving industry or textile processing industry. So you should know the fiber which the customer has given to you. Then only you can set so many settings in the machineries, not only machinery settings, even in textile chemical processing, you have to take suitable chemicals for the processing of textile materials. Okay. So now let us see how we can identify the different textile fibers. So first, the knowledge of identifying the textile fibers helps a producer of garments to identify the type of fiber and the care to be taken in maintaining the fabrics made of particular type of fiber. So then only your garment manufacturer or the spinning industry people or the weaving industry people or the textile processing industry people, they of identifying the textile fibers helps a producer of a garment to identify the type of fiber and the care to be taken in maintaining the fiber fabrics made of particular type of fiber. Then only either it may be a spinner or it may be a weaver or it may be a processor or it may be a garment manufacturer. One has to know the fiber which is made out of, the fabric, what type of fiber which is made out of, whether it may be a cotton or polyester cotton blends or wool fiber or silk fiber. Then only they will plan accordingly, whether it may be a settings in the machineries or it may be a selection of chemicals for textile chemical processing, because it will vary from fiber to fiber. So this is an important factor for what? So this is an important factor for labeling of the garment. Even if you purchase some garments from the textile shops, if you look at the label, what the label will indicates, what type of material is it, how to handle the material. So during washing, what type of care you have to take care. So to what extent you can use soap, to what extent you can heat the material, to what extent you can iron the material. So those type of indications will be available in the label. So which includes specifying the fiber content in the garment. Even to some extent, the label which also contains the fiber content. Suppose if it is a polyester cotton, how much amount of polyester and how much amount of cotton is present in the garment, whether it may be a 67-33 percentage or it may be a 70-30 percentage, the composition of the fiber present in the garment. So everything it is available in the label of the garment. Okay, so there are different tests are available which could be used to identify the textile fibers. So what are all the tests are available? The first one is burning test. The second one is microscopic test. The third one is solubility test. The fourth one is optical test. The fifth one is density test. So basically there are 5 tests are available to identify the textile fibers. Okay. Now let us discuss one by one. So the first one is non-technical methods of identification of fibers. So these are all non-technical methods. So what do you mean by non-technical test? So non-technical test does not require any special equipment to identify the textile fibers. So no need to have any sort of special equipments to identify the textile fibers. Please look at the slide. What are all the non-technical tests? See, the different non-technical methods are available to identify the textile fibers, or the first one is feeling test. So by means of feeling, you can identify the fibers to some extent. Okay. Then the second one is burning test. So by burning the fibers, so you can come to know to some extent what the fiber is it, whether it may be a cotton or whether it may be a protein fiber like wool or silk. Okay, to some extent you can identify the fibers. So these two tests are comes under the category of non-technical methods. Okay, these tests are useful and simple to perform and provide is a ready identification under certain circumstances. Okay, so these two tests are easily you can do even at your home itself. So no need to have any sort of special equipment is needed to test the fibers under these two category. Okay, these two tests are very useful and is also very simple to perform. Okay. So what are all technical tests? So there are technical tests are also available. So these tests are most reliable than non-technical tests. So these tests are more reliable than the non-technical test as high technology then laboratory equipments are used here to identify the textile fibers. Here you have to use some laboratory equipments to identify the textile fibers. Okay. These are all more reliable tests. Reliable means you can identify 80 to 90 percentage of the fiber exactly. So these tests require skilled personnel who can handle and use the equipment and chemicals for the analysis of textile fibers. So in order to perform technical test, one has to require some skills because these are all equipments related tests. So you need some type of special equipments to do these tests. Okay, what type of some equipments I'll tell you in the forthcoming slides. So one has to have some skills in order to work in this type of special equipments to identify the textile fibers. Okay, and to some extent you have to use some chemicals for the analysis of textile fibers. Okay, so in order to test the fiber under the chemical test, so one has to have some chemical knowledge on chemicals like acid, then acidic, alkali, oxidizing agent, reducing agent. Like that, one has to have some chemical knowledge while performing this chemical test. Similarly, one has to have some equipment knowledge in order to perform this microscopic test. Okay, so there are different types of technical tests are as follows. One is microscopic test, the second one is chemical test. So that is the reason why I told you some skill is required to handle this type of equipments and to handle type of chemicals. Okay. So now let us see the first test is feeling test. Feeling means just you look at the figure, just you feel, just you touch the fabric. So based on the feeling what you have observed while touching the fabric, then you will come to know to some extent the fiber what it is, whether it may be a cotton, polyester or wool or silk. Okay, so this is the first step in the identification of textile fibers. It involves holding the fabrics and running the finger in the lengthwise direction and in a circular manner. So how you have to perform this feeling test? So you have to hold the fabric and running the finger in a lengthwise direction and in a circular manner. So you have observed some feelings. Okay, while the fingers are running in a lengthwise direction as well as in a circular manner, you might be observed some feelings. Okay, so different fiber exhibits different behaviors when the fingers are run over it. Okay, so the characteristics of the textile fibers are given below. So what type of characteristics you may observe or what type of feel you may observe while running your finger along the lengthwise direction as well as in a circular manner in a okay. Suppose if you take cotton fabric, what is your observation or what the field you may observe? Okay, as the cotton fibers have high degree of heat conductivity, so the fiber is cool to touch. So what the feeling you may observe when you touch the fabric, the fiber is cool to touch. So you may feel a cool type of feel when you touch the cotton type of fabric because of the it has high degree of heat conductivity. Then the fabric appears to be soft and it is inelastic in nature. So when you touch the fabric, you may feel the fabric is soft in nature. So this is the observation you may feel when you touch the cotton fabric. Then coming to the linen type of fabric. So linen being a vegetable fiber has a high degree of heat conductivity and hence like cotton the fabric is cool to touch. Okay, so similarly, similar to your cotton fabric, you may feel cool to touch when you touch the linen fabric also because it is also having high degree of heat conductivity. Okay, and hence the feel is similar to your cotton fabric. Okay, what type of feel you may observe when you touch the linen fabric with the finger in a lengthwise direction as well as in a circular direction, you may feel cool to touch. The second point is the fabric feels smooth to touch, similar to you. See, there is a difference between a soft and smooth. So don't get confused. So when you touch the cotton fabric, you will get a soft feel. But if you touch the linen fabric, you will get a smooth feel. Okay. So coming to the other fibers. So you take the other fiber like wool. So what will be the observation when you touch? The wool fabric is a non-conductor of heat and hence you may feel warm to touch. So what type of feel you may observe? You may feel a warm feeling when you touch the woolen fabric. So when you move the finger on the fabric, the heat is generated and does not pass out and hence the fabric feels warmer in condition. So when you move the finger on the surface of the fabric, what is happening? The heat is generated. So you may feel a warm feel on the surface of the fabric. So the fabric feels elastic in nature and it is springy to touch. So these are all the observations you can make while touching your wool fabric using your finger. Okay. Then coming to the silk. Silk is being an animal fiber is warm to touch as it is a non-conductor of heat similar to your wool fiber. Wool is also a non-conductor of heat. Silk is also a non-conductor of heat. So what type of feel you may get while touching the fabric? You may get a warm feel while touching the silk fabric. But yeah, the fabric appears more luster. So this type of feeling you may not feel, but just if you see the fabric, you will come to know the silk fabric more luster than cotton than wool fabric. Okay, so it is the most lustrous material among the textile. Okay, and it is also smooth to touch, similar to your linen fabric. Okay, so these are all the observations you can get while touching the silk fabric. So then coming to the rayon, that is viscose rayon or copper-ammonium rayon, there are so many rayons are available. So what the observations you can make while touching this fabric? Rayon being made as a cellulosic fiber is a good conductor of heat, similar to your cotton and linen. So both are having good conductor of heat. So how the fabric it looks? The fabric is cool to touch, similar to your cotton and linen fabric. Then the fabric is luster because the rayon is also called as artificial silk. What you can call? The viscose rayon is called as artificial silk. So the fabric is more luscious, similar to your silk fabric. Similarly, you can feel smooth and inelastic feeling when you touch the fabric. What type of feel you will observe while touching the viscose rayon? You can feel smooth and inelastic feeling while touching your viscose rayon fabric. So coming to the other fabrics like acetate and triacetate rayon. So these are little warmer to touch. Not see, when you touch wool and silk fabric, you will get this warm feeling. But that much warm you may not expect from the acetate rayon. Only you will get little warmer. Okay, little warm effect on your uh, hand or the finger. So when you touch the acetate rayon or the triacetate rayon, when compared to rayon, which is due to the cellulose acetate content, because this acetate rayon is made out of your cellulose only. Okay, so the fabrics feel smoother and is also elastic in nature and is also luscious. So this acetate and triacetate rayon also having good luster and it is elastic in nature and smoother to touch. Okay, so these are all the observations you can feel while touching the acetate rayon and triacetate rayon fabric. Then coming to the nylon, the fabric is smooth to touch and is elastic in nature. So these are all the observations you can make out of the nylon fiber. The most prominent feature of nylon is its lightweight. Okay, so you can feel it is light in weight because the density of the nylon is very less when compared to wool, even compared to cotton fabric. So that is the reason why this fabric is light in weight. Then the fabric feels warmer on touch. Okay. Then coming to the polyester fabric, the fabric feels warmer and it is also bit stiffer to touch. What type of feel you may get? It is a little bit stiffer to touch. Similarly, a warm feeling while touching the polyester fabric. Okay. Then coming to the next one, acrylic fabric. So the acrylic fabric resembles the wool fabric in many of its characteristics. So what the wool fiber is having the same type of characteristics, similarly in case of acrylic fiber also. So acrylic fiber is resembles the wool fabrics. So sometimes if you see in this cold type of climatic conditions, if you go to purchase some woolen cloths, the shoppers, they may cheat because they may sell acrylic fabric as a wool fabric because it looks like a wool fabric. So more or less all the characteristics are similar to your wool fabric. The acrylic fibers are having the similar characteristics to the wool fabric. Sometimes the vendor or sometimes the shoppers will cheat the public, okay, while purchasing the woolen fabric. So the fabric is warm to touch, but it is lightweight when compared to wool. Okay, so the fabric is warm to touch, but it is very light in weight when compared to wool. So here also you are observing a light in weight characteristics. Here also you may observe a light in weight characteristics while touching the acrylic fiber. Okay. But what type of conclusion you can come to know from the feeling characteristics test? So the feeling test explained above is characteristics to each of these fibers. However, the properties exhibited by the fabric depends upon the type of fiber used, then yarn construction, then treatments to which they are subject to, and the construction of the fabric. See, I told you some observations you can make while touching the fabrics. But all the observations, again, it depends upon the type of fiber used and the yarn construction. It may be a low twisted yarn, or it may be a high twisted yarn, or sometimes the treatments which is given to the fabric. Sometimes even the jute fabric also may undergone subjected to some smooth treatment. So if you treat the jute fabric in alkali, so the fabric ultimately gives smooth to touch. So again, it depends upon the treatment, okay, and the construction of the fabric, whether it may be a plain weave or twill weave, or there are so many varieties of weaves are there, pile weave, okay. So based on the weave also, this feeling characteristics will vary. Okay, this feeling characteristics will vary based on the type of fiber used, the based on the yarn construction, and the treatment which the fabric is subjected to, and the construction of the fabric. So for instance, the fabrics made from filament yarns are more slippery. The compactly constructed nylon fabric is warmer when compared to the nylon fabric with open construction. Please see a small difference. The fabric which is made out of yarn only, nylon yarn, but so what is the difference? If the fabric is made, the compactly constructed nylon fabric is warmer when compared to the nylon fabric with open construction. Suppose if you are constructing the fabric low ends per inch and low picks per inch, what will happen? You may not get this type of warmer feeling. Suppose if a fabric is constructed very too close, that is more ends per inch and more picks per inch. Okay, more warp yarn and more weft yarn in a particular inch of a fabric. Definitely those fabrics will give warmer feeling than the open type of constructions. So this is only a preliminary type of test. Okay.